dollars more of just outright weapons to Israel.
Yeah, I think the operation this weekend is a kind of unusually public example of the value of intelligence support that the U.S. provides to Israel, which is, we've had a long-standing and very strong relationship, and usually it's not discussed, but I think this weekend we saw how intel support, even if it's for a goal that I think is nominally, quite something that's difficult to dispute, which is rescuing hostages, can nonetheless contribute to operations that kill what looks like a very large number of civilians. And I think it's also indicative of the value of the intel support that we give Israel. And I just highlight that because that's the area that I worked in or adjacent to, and it's another form of valuable support that we give Israel that helps them prosecute this war. And it's another less discussed form of leverage that we also have over the Israeli government.
And Harrison Mann, I'm wondering your moral concerns about what was going on in Gaza, to what extent you shared it with other fellow military or defense intelligence people, and what advice you would have to those in the military or in the intelligence community that are still grappling with their ethical concerns.
So for the first months after I initiated my resignation process, which did not actually conclude until last week, I was really kind of afraid. I didn't feel comfortable talking about this with anybody because nobody else was discussing it, and it felt like it was way outside of our norms and outside of what would be culturally acceptable where I work. But in April, when I finally shared my resignation letter with my office, I got really overwhelmingly positive and supportive feedback from the people that I work with. And I discovered that there were a lot of people who felt pretty much the same way that I did, and also felt like they could not openly discuss their concerns. And since I've publicized my letter, more people from both my office and elsewhere in the Department of Defense and the military have also reached out. And, my number one piece of advice or kind of tough love here is understanding again that nobody is going to tell you to stop. I do not think we are near an end to this conflict, and so you are nowhere near the end of being finally told that you can stop participating in it. And so understanding that, you then have to realize that moderating your level of support or participation is a choice, the same way that going to work tomorrow and continuing to support the Israeli campaign is a choice. And I know that what I did is not feasible for a lot of people. I understand that. I know other folks in our line of work who have asked for a transfer or who have asked their supervisor, hey, I'm going to keep doing all of the portfolios you give me, but find somebody else for Israel. I think another possibly effective option is asking for an assurance in writing that what you're doing is both legal and consistent with your organization's ethical standards and value statements. That's something I wish I had done, which I think would have given some people pause, because we're asking each other, we're asking our subordinates to do a lot of these things and contribute to this conflict without really pausing to think about the ethical dimension. And that's something I'm guilty of as well.
Harrison Mann,
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
I would just finally say, if you can't do that, just start talking about it, and letting somebody that you work with know that they're not alone might be incredibly valuable in and of itself.
We just have 10 seconds. What effect did the protests have on you? Do they make it inside?
The campus protests?
Yes.
It was further indication about whether or not I was on the right side of history, and how I'd be able to look back at this years from now, which is what helps drive my decision.
Harrison Mann, Jewish American, U.S. Army major, recently resigned from the Defense Intelligence Agency over the Biden administration's policy in Gaza.